So now there is a small point about Portuguese. In India, the memory of religious persecution and cruelty it detracts from the other contributions made by the Portuguese in the cultural field. Religious persecution and the cruelty it comes detracts from the other contributions made by the Portuguese in the cultural field. However, it cannot be forgotten that missionaries and the church were also the teachers and patrons in India of arts of the painters, the carvers, carving చేసేవాళ్ళు and the sculptors. So the missionaries who came from Portugal and the Christian missionaries and the church was the teachers and they were patrons of the art of painters, sculptors and carvers. So as in music, they were the interpreters. They were the interpreters not just of the Portuguese but of European art to India. They were also interpreters of the European art to India, just like in music also. The art of the silversmith and goldsmith it flourished at Goa, and the place became a center of elaborate filigree work. It became the center of elaborate filigree work with the art of silversmiths and the goldsmiths. Then, however, though the interior of the churches built under the Portuguese, they have plenty of woodwork and sculpture. The interiors of the churches built by the Portuguese had plenty of woodwork and sculpture and sometimes painted ceilings also. They are generally simple in their architectural plan. Outward side architectural plan was very simple and inside it was very well decorated with woodwork, sculptures and the painted ceilings. Then we come give about a small in gist of the Portuguese rise and fall. 1498 arrival of Vasco da Gama at the Calicut and his grand reception by the local king Zamorin 1498. In 1503 establishment of the first fort at Cochin. 1503 establishment of first fort at Cochin. 1505 establishment of second Portuguese fort at Cananore. 1509 defeat of the combined fleet of Gujarat, Egyptian and the Zamorin. Combined fleet of Gujaratis, Egypts and Zamorins by the Portuguese governor Francisco de Almeida. In 1510 Alfonso Albuquerque, the Portuguese governor, he captures Goa and Bijapur. 1510 Alfonso Albuquerque, the Portuguese governor, he captures Goa and Bijapur. 1530 again after 20 years. 1530 declaration of Goa as the Portuguese capital. 1530 lo they had declared Goa as the Portuguese capital. 1535 subjugation of the U. 1535 in 5 years. Again 59, but after nearly more than 25 years. 1559 the Portuguese captured Daman. First it was Diu and then Daman. Then 1596 then ouster of the Portuguese by the Dutch from the Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia lo already Portuguese unnaru, but they were ousted by the Dutch. Dutch were very much powerful. So ouster of the Portuguese by the Dutch from Southeast Asia in 1596. Then 1612 loss of Surat to English. 1612 was loss of Surat to English, and 1663 the Dutch win all the Portuguese forts on the Malabar coast to oust the Portuguese. 1663 lo last anamata, and then Marathas they invaded Goa again. After this now we come to the Dutch. The commercial enterprise led the Dutch to undertake the voyages to the east. Actually, the commercial enterprises led the Dutch to undertake voyages to the east. Cornelius de Houtman, 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 in 1596. He was the first Dutchman to reach Sumatra and Bantam. So it was not India, but east side వచ్చిన first Dutchman వచ్చి Cornelius de Houtman. In 1596 he reached Sumatra and Bantam. In 1602 the States General of Netherlands he amalgamated many trading companies into East India Company of Netherlands. This company was also empowered to carry on war, to conclude the treaties, to take possession of the territories and to erect the fortresses. So this East India Company of Netherlands was very much empowered by the general of Netherlands. So to carry on war చేయొచ్చు, treaties conclude చేయొచ్చు, to take possession of the territories and to erect fortresses. Then the Dutch settlements. After their arrival in India, the Dutch founded their first factory at Masulipatam in Andhra Pradesh in 1605. Dutch founded their first factory in Masulipatam in Andhra Pradesh in 1605. They went on to establish their trading centers in different parts of India, and thus they became a threat to Portuguese. They captured Nagapattinam near the Madras, that is then and from the Portuguese. The Dutch captured Nagapattinam from near Madras from Portuguese, and they made it their main stronghold in South India. Nagapattinam was the stronghold of Dutch in South India. The Dutch established their factories on the Coromandel coast in Gujarat, in Uttar Pradesh, Bengal and Bihar. ఇక్కడంతా ఫ్యాక్టరీస్ వాళ్ళు పెట్టారంట కోరమాండల్ కోస్ట్లో, ఇన్ గుజరాత్, ఇన్ ఉత్తర్ ప్రదేశ్, ఇన్ బెంగాల్ అండ్ బీహార్. ఇన్ 1609, okay, they opened a factory in Pulicat near north of the Madras. Pulicat ఉంది కదా, అక్కడ ఇంకో ఫ్యాక్టరీ పెట్టారు. ఫస్ట్ ఫ్యాక్టరీ వాజ్ అట్ మసూలిపట్నం in Andhra Pradesh in 1605. Second factory is at 1609. Second factory was in Pulicat north of Madras. The other principal factories in India were Surat 1616, Bhimlipatnam 1641, then Karaikal 1645, Chinsura 1653, Baranagar and Kasim Bazar near Murshidabad, and Balasore, Patna, Nagapattinam in 1658, and Cochin 1663. Then participating in so what are the other principal factories? Surat, Bhimlipatnam, Karaikal, Chinsura, Baranagar, Kasim Bazar, Balasore, Patna, Nagapattinam, Cochin. Then participating in the redistributive or carrying the trade. Participating in the redistributive trade, they took to islands of Far East various articles and merchandise from India. వేరియస్ ఆర్టికల్స్ ఇండియా నుంచి కొనుక్కొని దాన్ని ఫార్ ఈస్ట్కి తీసుకెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ అమ్మేవాళ్ళంట డచ్ పీపుల్. దే క్యారీడ్ ఇండిగో దట్ వాస్ మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్డ్ ఇన్ ద యమునా వ్యాలీ అండ్ ఇన్ సెంట్రల్ ఇండియా, and they took textiles and silk from Bengal and Gujarat and Coromandel coast, and they took saltpetre from Bihar and opium and rice from the Ganga valley. ఇవన్నీ తీసుకొని ఫార్ ఈస్ట్కి తీసుకెళ్ళి అమ్ముకునే వాళ్ళంట. opium from the Yamuna valley and Ganga valley. Then they took rice from the Ganga valley. Then central India నుంచి కూడా they took indigo. Indigo they took from Yamuna valley and central India. Textiles and silk from Bengal, Gujarat and the Coromandel coast. Salt వచ్చి బీహార్ నుంచి. Then opium and rice వచ్చి they took from the Ganga valley. Then Anglo-Dutch rivalry. The English were also at this time rising to prominence in the eastern trade, and this posed a serious challenge to the commercial interests of the Dutch. The commercial rivalry soon turned into a bloody warfare. The climax of the enmity between the Dutch and the English in the east was reached at Amboina, a place in present-day Indonesia, and the Dutch had captured which the Dutch had captured from Portuguese in 1605. ఇప్పుడు అన్నా కదా ఇందాక డచ్ వాళ్ళని పోర్చుగీస్ని డచ్ వాళ్ళు సౌత్ ఈస్ట్ ఏషియా నుంచి దే ఔస్టెడ్ అని చెప్పి అదే అనమాట. దే డచ్ క్యాప్చర్డ్ అంబోయినా ఫ్రమ్ పోర్చుగీస్ ఇన్ 1605. సో ఇంగ్లీష్కి డచ్కి రైవల్రీ వచ్చి క్లైమాక్స్ ఎక్కడైంది? అంబోయినా అనే ప్లేస్లో, విచ్ ఇస్ ఇన్ ఇండోనేషియా. ఓకే, సో ఇన్ అంబోయినాలో ఏం జరిగిందంటే దిస్ డచ్ పీపుల్ దే హ్యాడ్ కిల్డ్ 10 ఇంగ్లీష్ మెన్ అండ్ 9 జాపనీస్ ఇన్ 1623లో చంపేశారు ఈ డచ్ పీపుల్. This incident further intensified the rivalry between the two European countries, that is Britain and the Netherlands. Then after prolonged warfare, both the parties they came to a compromise in 1667. ఓ మై గాడ్, 1623లో వాళ్ళు చంపితే అప్పటి నుంచి ప్రొలాంగ్డ్ వార్ఫేర్ జరిగి 1667లో దే కేమ్ టు అ కాంప్రమైజ్ బై విచ్ ద బ్రిటిష్ అగ్రీడ్ టు విత్డ్రా ఆల్ దేర్ క్లెయిమ్స్ ఆన్ ఇండోనేషియా, అండ్ ద డచ్ రిటైర్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఇండియా టు కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ ఆన్ దేర్ more profitable trade in Indonesia. So Dutch monopolized the trade in black pepper and spices. Okay, they monopolized the trade in black pepper and spices. The most important Indian commodities the Dutch traded were in silk, cotton, indigo, rice, and opium. They were silk, cotton, indigo, rice, and opium. Okay, the decline of Dutch in India. The Dutch got drawn into the trade of Malay archipelago. Okay, first they got drawn into the trade of Malay archipelago. Further, in the third Anglo-Dutch War, which happened in 1672 to 74, the communications between Surat and the new English settlement of the Bombay they got cut, due to which the three English ships which were captured in Bay of Bengal by the Dutch forces. ఓకే సో ఏమైంది థర్డ్ ఆంగ్లో డచ్ వార్ అప్పుడు ఏమైందంటే బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ద డిస్ట్రప్ట్ ఇన్ ద కమ్యూనికేషన్స్ బిట్వీన్ సూరత్ అండ్ ద న్యూ ఇంగ్లీష్ సెటిల్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ బాంబే వాళ్ళ కమ్యూనికేషన్స్ ప్రాపర్గా లేక డచ్ వాళ్ళు బే ఆఫ్ బెంగాల్లో ఉన్న త్రీ ఇంగ్లీష్ షిప్స్ని క్యాప్చర్ చేసేసారు. దెన్ ద బ్రిటిష్ రిటాలియేటెడ్ విచ్ రిజల్టెడ్ ఇన్ ద డిఫీట్ ఆఫ్ ది డచ్ ఇన్ ద బ్యాటిల్ ఆఫ్ హుగ్లీ ఇన్ November 1759. So Battle of Hooghly, where the Dutch got defeated. This Battle of Hooghly happened in 1759, which dealt a crushing blow to the Dutch ambitions in India. The Dutch were not much interested in empire building in India. Their concerns were only trade. So in any case, their main commercial interest lay in the Spice Islands of the Indonesia, from where they earned a huge profit through business. Then R.C. Majumdar, H.C. Rai Chowdhury, and K. Datta in advanced history of India దాంట్లో ఏం చెప్పారంటే the Dutch rivalry with the English during the 17th century was more bitter than that of the Portuguese. The policy of the Dutch in the East was influenced by two motives. One was to take revenge on the Catholic Spain, the foe of their independence, and her ally పోర్చుగల్. సో మెయిన్ క్యాథలిక్ స్పెయిన్ పోర్చుగల్ మీద రివెంజ్ తీర్చుకోవడానికి వాళ్ళు ఈ ఈస్ట్ సైడ్ వచ్చారు ట్రేడ్ కోసం. దిస్ వాస్ దర్ ఫస్ట్ మోటివ్, టు టేక్ రివెంజ్ ఆన్ బోత్ స్పెయిన్ అండ్ పోర్చుగల్. అండ్ ది అదర్ వాస్ టు కాలనైజ్ అండ్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ ద సెటిల్మెంట్స్ ఇన్ ఈస్ట్ ఇండీస్ in the East Indies with a view to monopolizing the commerce in that region. సో అక్కడ కాలనీస్ పెట్టి దాని ద్వారా అక్కడ సెటిల్మెంట్స్ పెట్టి దాని ద్వారా అక్కడ ట్రేడ్ని కామర్స్ని మోనోపలైజ్ చేయాలనే దీంతో వచ్చారు. దే గెయిన్డ్ దేర్ ఫస్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ బై ద గ్రాడ్యువల్ డిక్లైన్ ఆఫ్ పోర్చుగీస్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్. ద రియలైజేషన్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ సెకండ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ వాజ్ బ్రాడ్ దెమ్ the realization of their second object brought them into bitter competition with the English అని చెప్పారు ఆర్సి మజుందార్, హెచ్సి రాయ్ చౌదరి అండ్ కే దత్తా ఇన్ అడ్వాన్స్డ్ హిస్టరీ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. Now we read few points from all in one about the Dutch. With a view to establish the direct access to profitable spice markets in the Southeast India, the Dutch came up with the Dutch East India Company, which was formed in 1602. Okay, to get direct access of the profitable spice markets in the Southeast Asia. They came like other trading companies of the Europe. Dutch East India Company, they didn't confine itself exclusively to the commercial discourses, but also aimed at specific territorial designs, leading to the bitterness and conflicts also. During the first half of 17th century, the nature of these conflicts were triangular. That is, conflict between Portuguese and Dutch, between Portuguese and English, and between Dutch and English. The Dutch captured Amboina from the Portuguese in 1605, gradually then conquered Jakarta, and then established Batavia on its ruins. జకార్టాని క్యాప్చర్ చేసి దాని రూయిన్స్ మీద బటావియాని ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేశారు ఇన్ 1619. దెన్ దే బ్లాకేడెడ్ గోవా ఇన్ 1639. దెన్ దే క్యాప్చర్డ్ ద మలాక్కా ఇన్ 1641 and then got possession of the last Portuguese settlement in the Ceylon in 1658. The first Governor General was Pitcher, Pitcher, Pitcher both, and was succeeded by Peterson Pitcher both and Peterson Cohen. And then by supplanting the Portuguese, the Dutch maintained a virtual monopoly over the spice throughout the 17th century as they wanted it. Okay, by supplanting the Portuguese. Then the years between 1630 and 1658, they formed a period of consolidation for the Dutch on the Coromandel, though they had to face wars, famines, and official capacity and occasional conflicts with Mir Jumla. That was in from 1630 to 1658 for nearly 20 years. Then Danes were the people of Denmark. Dutch were followed by Danes in India. Danes established their settlements in Tranquebar near Tanjore. It was Tranquebar, Tranquebar. So they found the Danish East India Company. It was established in 1616, and in 1620 they founded a factory at Tranquebar near Tanjore on the eastern coast of India. The first factory of Danes were Tranquebar near Tanjore in 1620. Okay, the Danish East India Company was formed in 1616. After 4 years, they came to India. Their principal settlement was at Serampur near Calcutta. The Danish factories, which were not important at any time, were sold to the British government in 1845. Okay, the Danes are better known for their missionary activities than for commerce. Well, మెయిన్గా వచ్చింది ఫర్ మిషనరీస్ని, క్రిస్టియన్ మిషనరీస్ని స్ప్రెడ్ చేయడానికి తప్ప నాట్ మచ్ ఫర్ ది కామర్స్. సో ఒక ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఏమో ట్రాంకోబార్ నియర్ తాంజూర్ ఇన్ 1620 వాజ్ ద ఫస్ట్ ఫ్యాక్టరీ. దేర్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ సెటిల్మెంట్ వచ్చి సేరంపూర్ నియర్ క్యాల్కటా. ఓకే, దెన్ వాళ్ళ ఫ్యాక్టరీస్ అన్నిటిని 1845లో బ్రిటిష్ గవర్నమెంట్కి అమ్మేసి వాళ్ళు రిటర్న్ వెళ్ళిపోయారు. Then we go to France. France was the last European power in the race of commercial activities in the East. In 1503, only 5 years after the Portuguese Indian adventure, two ships they filled out by some Rouen merchants for trading in the Eastern Sea, but nothing was heard of them afterwards. 1503, just after 5 years of the Portuguese Indian adventure, some ships also, then with Rouen merchants also, they started trading towards the Eastern Sea, but nothing was heard of them afterwards. In July 1527, a Norman ship belonging to the Rouen merchants, it appeared in Diu. అంటే 1503లో స్టార్ట్ అయితే ఆ తర్వాత నియర్లీ 25 yearsకి వాళ్ళు దియూ దగ్గరకు వచ్చారా. ఇట్ వాస్ హెన్రీ ఫోర్, Richelieu and Colbert who made the question of eastern trade significant. Okay, Henry IV. Then Henry V, he initiated the process, and Richelieu took up the idea of commerce with the East and thus formed the Society of Orient. And he formed the Society of Orient. But it was at the instance of Corbett that company des Indes Orientis were formed in 1664. This is just a short history of the French company. It was Henry IV, Richelieu and Corbett who made the question of East India trade significant. ఆ తర్వాత హెన్రీ ఫైవ్ వచ్చాడు, he initiated the process of trade, and Richelieu అనేవాడు he took up the idea of commerce with the East, and thus he formed the society Del Orient అనే society form చేశాడు Richelieu. Then after that, but it was at the instance of Corbett ఏం చేశాడంటే Corbett formed Colbert, Colbert. Colbert, he formed the company des Indes Orientis, was formed in 1664. The first French factory in India was founded by Francois Caron at Surat in 1668. The first French factory in India was in Surat, 1668, formed by Francois Caron. Okay, the Marca was successful in establishing another French factory in Masulipattnam in 1669, the very next year. Marca. Okay, was successful in establishing another French factory in Masulipatam in 1669 by obtaining a patent from the Sultan of Golconda. Then they seized San Tome in 1672. ఇది వచ్చిన తర్వాత మెడ్రాస్లో ఉన్న శాన్ తోమే ఫోర్ట్ ఉంది కదా, దెన్ దే సీజ్డ్ ద శాన్ తోమే ఇన్ 1672 ఫ్రెంచ్. First was Surat, then it was Masulipatam, then they seized the San Tome in 1672. Then the next year in 1673, Francois Martin and Belanger de Lapsneri, they obtained a small village from the Muslim governor Sher Khan Lodi of Valikondapuram, which finally proved to be the foundation of Pondicherry. Then in 1673 లో ఏం చేశారంటే ఫ్రాంకాయిస్ మార్టిన్ అనే అతను బెలంగర్ డి లాప్సనరీ దే obtained a small village from the Muslim governor of షేర్ ఖాన్ లోడి ఆఫ్ వలికొండాపురం నుంచి ఒక చిన్న విలేజ్ తీసుకొని ఫైనలీ ఇట్ ప్రూవ్ టు బి ద ఫౌండేషన్ ఆఫ్ ది పాండిచ్చేరి. ఇన్ బెంగాల్ షైస్తా ఖాన్ he granted a site for the French in 1674 on which they built next year again. 1672లో సెంట్ టోమే క్యాప్చర్ చేసుకున్న 1673 ఫౌండేషన్స్ ఆఫ్ పాండిచ్చేరి 1674 in which they built the famous French factory at Chandher Nagar in 1690 and 92. 1674లో they acquired a site in Bengal and they built a French factory of Chandher Nagar in 1690 to 1692. Note Calcutta was founded by English. Okay, Calcutta was founded by English in 1676. And then Pondicherry, it was captured by the Dutch in 1693. 1692లో that is about Chandher Nagar. 1692లో French factory at Chandher Nagar. 1693లో the Dutch had captured Pondicherry from the French again. Okay, but Calcutta was founded by the English in 1676. Then Pondicherry was captured by Dutch in 1693, but it was handed back to the French by the Treaty of Ryswick. French by the Treaty of Ryswick in 1697. After 4 years, then again they returned it back. The arrival of Dupleix as governor in India in 1742. It became significant as it led to the Anglo-French conflict and the final collapse of French power in India. So Francois Caron headed an expedition to India, setting up a factory in Surat. Francois Caron, then Mercara, Mercara, who was a Persian and accompanied Caron. He founded another French factory in Masulipatam 1669, and then by obtaining a patent from the Sultan of Golconda. Then 1673 French obtained the permission from Shaista Khan, the Mughal Subedar of Bengal, to establish a township at Chandher Nagar near Calcutta. Then Pondicherry, which is the nerve center of French power in India. Pondicherry, nerve center of French power in India. In 1673, Sher Khan Lodi, the governor of Valikondapuram under the Bijapur Sultan, he was the governor under the Bijapur Sultan. He granted Francois Martin, the director of Masulipatam factory, a site for the settlement, and Pondicherry was founded in 1674. After next year 1674, in the same year, Francois Martin replaced Caron. He replaced Caron as the French governor also. ఇప్పుడు Francois Martin was the French governor, director of Masulipatam factory నుంచి governor అయ్యాడు. Then he gave the foundations of the Pondicherry. Then the French company established its factories in other parts of India also, particularly in the coastal regions. Mahe, Karaikal, Balasore, Qasim Bazar were few important trading centers of French East India Company. Mahe, Karaikal, Balasore and Qasim Bazar were important trading centers. After taking charge of Pondicherry in 1674, Francois Martin, he developed it as a place of importance. It was indeed the stronghold of French in India. Early setbacks to the French East India Company. The French position in India was badly affected with the outbreak of war between the Dutch and the French, bolstered by their alliance with the English. Since the Revolution of 1688, the Dutch captured Pondicherry in 1693. Dutch captured Pondicherry in 1693, although the Treaty of Ryswick, concluded in September 1697, restored Pondicherry to the French. Okay, because of this, they restored Pondicherry to the French. The Dutch garrison, they held on to it for few more years. Once again, under Francois Martin's able guidance, Pondicherry flourished and turned out to be most important settlement of the French in India. Again, there were a bad turn in the fortunes of French company in India when the War of Spanish Succession broke out in Europe. Consequent to this, they had to abandon their factories at Surat, Masulipatam and Bantam in early 18th centuries. Surat, Masulipatam and Bantam in the early 18th century. The French in India had another setback when Francois Martin died in December 31, 1706. He died in 1706. Then reorganization of the French company. In 1720, the French company was reorganized as the Perpetual Company of the Indies, West Indies, East Indies అంటాం కదా ఆ type Indies. It was reorganized as Perpetual Company of the Indies, which revived its strength. Okay, which revived its strength. This was further enhanced by the stewardship of two active and wise governors. They were Lenoir and Dumas between 1720 and 1742. Further, the French India, it was backed by the French possession of Mauritius and Reunion in the South Indian Ocean. ఫ్రెంచ్ ఇండియాలో ఉన్న ఫ్రెంచ్ పొజిషన్స్ ఇండియాలో ఉన్న ఫ్రెంచ్ పొజిషన్స్ వర్ బ్యాక్డ్ అప్ బై French possessions of the Mauritius and reunion in the South Indian Ocean. Then the Anglo-French struggle for supremacy, the Carnatic Wars. Anglo-French struggle for supremacy, the Carnatic Wars. The background of the rivalry. Though the British and the French, they came to India for trading purposes, they were ultimately drawn into the politics of India. Both had visions of establishing political power over the region. The Anglo-French rivalry in India, it reflected the traditional rivalry of England and France throughout their histories. Okay, it began with the outbreak of the Austrian War of Succession and it ended with the conclusion of the 7 Years' War. It ended with the Austrian War, it started with Austrian War of Succession and it ended with the conclusion of the 7 Years' War. Specifically in India, the rivalry in the form of three Carnatic Wars decided once for all that the English and not the French were to become masters of India. In 1740, the political situation in South India was uncertain and confused. In 1740, the political situation in South India, it was uncertain and it was confused. Nizam Asaf Jah of Hyderabad was old and he was fully engaged in battling the Marathas in the Western Deccan while his subordinates were speculating upon the consequences of his death. Okay, who was he? Nizam Asaf Jah of Hyderabad was old and fully engaged in battling with the Marathas in the Western Deccan while his subordinates were speculating upon the consequences of his death. To the south of his kingdom lay the Coromandel coast without any strong ruler to maintain a balance of the power. Instead there was the remnant of the old Vijayanagara Empire in the interior Mysore, Cochin and Travancore on the Malabar coast. సో ఏ ప్లేసెస్లో కిందేమో ఫస్ట్ ఏమో అక్కడ సౌత్ ఇండియన్ కింగ్స్ ఉన్న అక్కడ సౌత్ ఇండియన్ కొరమాండల్ కోస్ట్లో ఉన్న కింగ్స్ స్ట్రాంగ్గా లేరు. దెన్ ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆ ప్లేస్లో ఏమంటే దేవర్ రెమినెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ విజయనగర ఎంపైర్ ఇన్ మైసూర్, కొచ్చిన్ అండ్ ట్రావెన్కోర్ on the Malabar coast, and in the east the small states of Madurai, Tanjore and Tiruchinappalli, all these were small states. The decline of Hyderabad was the signal for the end of the Muslim expansionism, and the English adventurers got their plans ready. And the English adventurers, after they got the signal for the end of Muslim expansionism with the decline of the Hyderabad, the English adventurers, they got their plans ready. Also, there was the Maratha kingdom of Tanjore, providing the Peshwa of Pune an excuse for interference whenever he pleased. Okay. So this was the backdrop. So Ittaru, they wanted to conquer that Malabar and the Coromandel coast, which had weak rulers. The wars we will see in the next part. Rise and fall of duplex in India. Rise and fall of duplex in India. Joseph Francis Duplex, born in 1697. He was the son of a wealthy farmer general of taxes and director general of the Company of the Indies. Okay, he got a high post at Pondicherry in 1720 itself, when he was just 23 years old, allegedly on the basis of the influence of his father. He got a high post at Pondicherry. At Pondicherry, he made a lot of money by the private trade, which was then permitted to the servants of the French company. In December 1726, he was suspended owing to the drastic change in the constitution of the French company. He changed the constitution of the French company, and some confusions arising out of that. In 1730, he was suspended owing. Okay. Sorry. In 1730, Duplex he won his case and was appointed as governor of Chandarnagar as compensation. Okay, then 1741, he was appointed as the Director General of French colonies in India. In 1741, he was appointed as the Director General of French colonies in India. Later, he was conferred the title of Nawab. He was given the title of Nawab by the Mughal Emperor and the Subedar of the Deccan, Muzaffar Jung. He was given the title of by the Nawab, Mughal Emperor Nawab అనే టైటిల్ ఇచ్చారు, and the Subedar of the Deccan. నవాబ్ అనే టైటిల్ సుబేదార్ ఆఫ్ ద డెక్కన్ బై ముజాఫర్ జంగ్ ఇచ్చారు. సో అకార్డింగ్ టు హిస్టారియన్స్, డ్యూప్లెక్స్ హీ పొసెస్డ్ క్వాలిటీస్ ఆఫ్ అన్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటర్, a diplomat and a leader, besides having political insight with a broad vision. So besides having political insight with a broad vision, he was a very good administrator, diplomat and a leader. Duplex in the role of administrator. Then in 1741, Duplex became the Governor General of Pondicherry. Governor General of Pondicherry. He found Pondicherry facing several problems, that is Maratha invasions, famine, uncultivated land, and chaotic conditions in the Carnatic region. In that Carnatic, Marathas invasions, famine, uncultivated land, and chaotic conditions in the Carnatic. Apart from these, the directors of the company, they sought a drastic cut in expenditure of the French East India Company, owing to the priority given to the French colonies in the North America. So the directors of the company ఏమనుకుంటున్నారంటే, they thought there was వీళ్ళ పైన ఇండియాలో వీళ్ళ డైరెక్టర్స్ పైన స్పెండ్ చేసే ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ చాలా తక్కువగా ఉంది కంపేర్డ్ టు ది ఫ్రెంచ్ కాలనీస్ ఇన్ నార్త్ అమెరికా. సో డ్యూప్లెక్స్ రెడ్యూస్ ది పబ్లిక్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ డిస్పైట్ ది అపోజిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ హిస్ కౌన్సిల్. అతని కౌన్సిల్ అపోజ్ చేసినా కూడా పబ్లిక్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ తగ్గించి, అండ్ హీ బ్యాలెన్స్డ్ ది ఇన్కమ్ అండ్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్, అండ్ హీ కపుల్డ్ విత్ ద కట్ ఆఫ్ సాలరీస్ ఆఫ్ ఆఫీసర్స్. Then he balanced the income and the expenditure coupled with the cut of salaries of the officers. So however, he decided to disobey the directors on the matter of the fortification of the settlements. So on the matter of the fortification of the settlements, he disobeyed along with his directors. Okay, he enhanced the defenses of the Pondicherry, even spending a large sum from his personal wealth. Okay, he enhanced the defense system of Pondicherry, spending a large sum from his personal wealth. He made Pondicherry the emporium of commerce in South India. He made Pondicherry the emporium of commerce in South India by taking practical steps to develop the trade of the colony. By taking the practical steps to develop the trade of the Pondicherry. Then later, the directors of the company, they praised Duplex for taking the right decisions even in contradiction of the other directors. Okay, then Duplex as the master of diplomacy. The analysis of the first Carnatic wars, it proves that diplomacy of Duplex as a leader who visualized the path of European conquest of India. Okay, the first Carnatic was proves the diplomacy of the Duplex as a leader who visualized the path of European conquest of India. Then Duplex used the Nawab of Carnatic to forbid the English from waging a war in his territories, so that the French settlements at Pondicherry could be protected till the French forces acquired enough strength. In Duplex, what he did was he spoke to the Nawab of Carnatic, and he made Nawab stop the English from waging a war in his territories, so that the French settlements in Pondicherry, they could be protected till the French forces they got enough strong strength. In return, the Nawab was promised Madras after the English got defeated. Okay, in return, they said we will give you Madras after the English got defeated. But Duplex, under his diplomacy, he didn't give Madras to the Nawab. Okay, and he even defeated him at Saint Thome. So Duplex, what he did at the English defeat ayaka, he didn't give Madras, and he defeated the king of Nawab of Carnatic at Saint Thome in 1746. Then Duplex convinced Admiral La Bourdonnais, okay, Admiral La Bourdonnais to break promises made to the English, and citing examples from the history that promises made under certain circumstances were never binding. Further, he said that since the position of the Governor General was superior to that of the Commander of the Navy, the compact entered into between the British and the commander of the navy and the English. It was ultra virus. Okay, thus he was able to convince his subordinate to do what was considered unethical in general terms, but best suited for one's nation. Okay, Duplex was first in European to interfere in the internal politics of the Indian rulers. Duplex was the first European to interfere into the internal politics of the Indian rulers. He supported Muzaffar Jung for Hyderabad, and he supported Muzaffar Jung for Hyderabad, and Chanda Sahib for Carnatic, and his candidates emerged successful, and in return they gave him great concessions to Duplex. Duplex was in fact the originator of the practice of subsidiary alliance in India. He was in fact the originator of the practice of subsidiary alliance in India. He placed a French army at Hyderabad at the expense of the Subedar. He placed a French army at Hyderabad at the expense of the Subedar. Why Duplex failed in India? Duplex was recalled in 1754 due to the initial defeat of the French army in the Second Carnatic War and the heavy cost incurred by the company due to the Duplex's political decisions. So the company MJ sir, French company, they recalled him to in 1754 due to the initial defeat of the French army in the Second Carnatic War lo defeat అయినందుకు ఆయన వెనక్కి వచ్చేయమన్నారు, and heavy cost association because of Duplex's decisions. So many historians have called the recall of Duplex by the directors as a blunder, a result of a compromise between French and England over the issues in America. Because ఎందుకు రమ్మన్నారంటే బ్యాక్ బికాస్ ఫ్రాన్స్కి ఇంగ్లాండ్కి కాంప్రమైజ్ అయింది ఓవర్ ద ఇష్యూస్ ఇన్ అమెరికా. సో డ్యూప్లెక్స్ వచ్చేయమన్నారు. హవెవర్ అంటే ఇంగ్లాండ్ విల్ బి గివెన్, ఇండియా విల్ బి రూల్డ్ బై బ్రిటిష్ అండ్ నార్త్ అమెరికా విల్ బి రూల్డ్ బై ఫ్రెంచ్ అన్నట్టుగా. సో however, there were some weaknesses in Duplex also, which can be put in brief as follows. Duplex suffered from an over-sanguine temperament. He suffered from an over-sanguine temperament. He hoped too often for too long, thus losing the advantage in critical situations. The peers of Duplex didn't like his autocratic behavior, and on many occasions they quarreled with him on this matter. Duplex was not a man of action. He planned a campaign, directed his lieutenants, but never led an army in the battlefield like Lawrence or Robert Clive. The French failed to capture Tiruchinappalli in 1752 and 53 because of the schemes thought out by Duplex could not be turned into action by his commanders. Because the schemes thought out by Duplex, they could not be turned into actions by commanders, that way they couldn't capture Tiruchinappalli.